Welcome for this class of this live class. As we discussed just one day before, that is on 30th April, that we are starting these live sessions. Uh, During this lockdown period, we are starting out this all. So these live classes are there for history. Uh, I am also learning these new techniques because earlier day we were not having that live classes. So let us focus on this history topic first. Uh, the first important thing that how we are going to study. For that purpose, I'm discussing here the first important thing we have to refer books. Now, sky is the limit, whatever you are going to read. But when you are preparing selectively for this competitive examination, my recommendation is there that go sequentially. Part one, that first uh, go through manual. So whatever the manuals are available in market, say for example, McGraw-Hill publication is there, Arihant publication is there, or even Spectrum publication, Pearson publication, like that various publications are there. So you have to go through these manuals. First, read out entire topic of this history from this manual. After that, say manuals are giving you just guidelines. They're not covering out entire syllabus and all that. So first read out through them. Then onwards, start reading out NCERT books. Old NCERT books as well as new NCERT books simultaneously. The reason is that NCERT books, whatever they are giving, we have to consider it as standard. So some debatable topics are there. At that time, when debatable topic is there, we have to consider whatever there in NCERT book, that is at standard. And so my another recommendation is there, after reading out this, you have to go through this NCERT book. Then onwards, start reading reference books. There are so many reference books. Now, usually, I prefer R.C. Mujumdar's book. Old versions, that is only written by R.C. Mujumdar. That is very good version. But apart from that, the new version, that is S. Chandan Publications, the book is there, where along with this Professor R.C. Mujumdar, other historians are also listed out. So that is also comprehensive book, very good book. You can go through that book also. So that is, we can consider as very good book for educational purpose. But apart from that, some other books we have to read. For example, Six Glorious Epoch, given by V.D. Savarkar. Swatantryaveer Savarkar is actually a person who involved in making out history. And therefore, the history aspects or the what we are saying that political events are very good analyzed by him. And therefore, a recommendation is there that go through this book, that is Six Glorious Epoch in Indian History, that is available at free of cost on www.savarkarsmarak.com. So you can download that PDF and start reading. So what is difference between other books and this Six Glorious Epoch? Some different approach and different aspects are given in this book. Basically, when we are reading out this westernized book, they have concept that whatever the backwardness was there in India and outsiders came, and because of their presence, India was evolved. Whereas Swatantryaveer Savarkar says no, because of outsiders attack, their community evolved, not India. India was evolved. You can go through the book, you'll like that approach. And for that purpose, I'm recommending this book. Now, second important part, many questions are there in students' mind. Out of that, one important question, that there are so many names of kings, emperors, empires, then important persons in the history. How to remember them? One way, that is to write out, but how much you are going to write? And therefore, my suggestion is that don't go for writing out or mugging up. A simple technique is there, because whatever the thing I'm teaching here right now, history, but I have studied out little bit biology also, and accordingly, our brain is actually having very good capacity. we are not utilizing our capacity of brain to full extent. And for that purpose, the thing is that you have to study out in the fashion that you can utilize at the most your brain. So simple technique I'm going to describe you that first take any book. Say for example, let us take example of NCERT book. Suppose you are reading out 11th standard NCERT history book. All right, take that book in your hand and start reading. Whether you are able to follow or not, what you are going to keep in your mind, forget all. Only thing you have to keep in mind that you have to read. Continuously you have to read. Whatever you are following is all right while reading, but not followed, then also finish out book within prescribed time. That prescribed time you have to define. So for example, on an average, I am saying that if NCERT book is there, some Rahul Roy is giving. So we are providing detailed session on South Indian history also, but that is in much latter phase. But we are going to do that. Now, the suggestion is that start reading that book. Say for example, one page. If NCERT book is there, I may say that 2 minutes is sufficient for single page. If smaller book size is there, for example, R.C. Muzumdar's book size, then I am recommending that 1 minute is sufficient. That you have to define yourself that, okay, I will read 1 minute per page, or say, for example, 2 minutes required to read one page, like that you have to define. Then count the number of pages. Say, for example, 100 pages are there. That means within 200 minutes, you have to finish that book and start reading this way. Your entire attention should be there on time and not on what you are mugging up or reading out or keeping names in mind. Go plainly reading. This is your first reading. All right. Now, what is the thing? That this is something we are feeding out data in our brain. But you are not able to get exactly. But let it be. Wait for some time. Maybe possible 1 week you can wait. And after that week, again start reading that book. All right. This is your second reading. Again, you have to keep your close eye on time. You have to finish out that book within that time only. All right. And then start reading in that way only. This is your second reading. Now you will find something familiar. Say first reading, yes, everything is new for you. Maybe possible if you are not studying out history from childhood or in detail or much affinity, then something that is there. But after that, when you are reading it second time, you'll find that yes, now I am having familiar. I'm familiar with whatever reading. That's the important thing. Now, after that, wait for nearly 1 month. All right. Keep in mind, your brain is a very good instrument that will continuously thinking on what you have read in that particular session. You're able to get everything that is digested in brain automatically. And then onwards, on one fine day, after 1 month, you have to start your third reading of the same book. Again, thing is that you have to read within that 200 minutes only. So, hi, but please, my request is there, don't send message like hi. If you want to ask any questions, you can ask definitely. So, the thing is that now we are reading out third time. Now, the third reading is important. Why? Because now you will find that everything is known to you and you are just revising. That is making out data perfect in your brain. So this is the way when you are starting out reading third time, you'll recollect, you will get clear-cut path, and then that data is fixed in your brain. Okay, so this technique I have tested, I have tried, and then only I'm telling you. But it is not the way that if I'm able to get, then you will also get the same result. But try. Now time is there, sufficient time is there with you. Nobody will say that, okay, I don't have right now time. Okay. And so my suggestion is there, try with this technique. You'll get clear-cut idea. Okay. Right now we are discussing about history. So please, my question, ask related question. With history only, you have to ask question. Now, this is something we are discussing about. All right, Satyanarayan, you are beginner, I am aware. For beginner only, we are carrying out this session. So this is first session, try to listen. Okay. And then we can discuss. And you can ask doubts also, because this session we are trying every day. We are going to discuss this session. So you can ask your doubts also. So first try to listen this entire session completely. Thanks. So this way we are going to discuss about the reading technique. And now we are coming to the point. Now, how to study history? First important thing, you have to go through previous year's question paper. Not only 2019, but prior to that, go till back. In 1989, syllabus was changed. 89 onwards, in 2011 exam, that means 2010 exam was last exam on basis of 1989 syllabus. From 2011 onwards, syllabus change again. The pattern of exam, rather than syllabus, we are saying that pattern of exam, that change. And so, the suggestion is there, please start NCRT. Okay, that NCRT books are there. I am starting out the session. These are all lectures, video lectures are available on our channel. We are going to discuss this step by step. So first in this session, I am just explaining how to study out. And then we are starting out that topic also. Now, when we are studying out, the important thing is that, sorry. Go through previous year's question paper. So right from 1989 onwards, what are the questions have asked? For that purpose, you have to visit this site upsc.gov.in, and then onwards, you'll get previous year's question paper on that. Otherwise, in market, various books are available. They're showing you previous year's questions, subject-wise, history, geography, like that subject-wise. So first, now we are focusing only on history. So please get book that will give you questions asked on history. Study out that. And after getting that idea, you have to start preparation. So as I explained earlier, we have to start first by reading out any manual, then start reading out NCRT, and then start reading out reference books. So this way your ideas will be getting more and more clear. Now here, how to study out with these live sessions. So in yesterday's live session, I have explained that first go through lectures, video lectures available there on our YouTube channel. And then we are going to discuss here. So the first important thing, I'm again recommending that on this UPSC Guru channel, we have video lectures. So there is history. You can find out playlist. In this playlist, we have a big video series. So in that big video series, all these lectures are arranged sequentially. So observe, because that video is of nearly 13-hour or 17-hour, like that video lectures are there. So first part you have to observe. Okay. Now we are recording out new video lectures also. And for that purpose also, we have this series that history 1, history 2, like that newer recordings are there. You can go through that also. So history 1, history 2, and history 3. 3 lectures you have to observe, and then observe this discussion. For tomorrow, you have to go through history 4 lecture, which is available on our channel. So I am starting out now the part we have to study out. The first section of this history, that is, we are saying from prehistoric period to the beginning of historic period. So in that session, we are discussing about right from that Stone Age man to Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, all this part we are discussing out. Then second part we are discussing out from that Aryan invasion theory or Vedic era to attacks of Hun on India. In third session, we are discussing that attacks on Hun onwards till Islamic invaders, particularly till formation of Delhi Sultanate. We are discussing that. Then onwards, we are discussing about Delhi Sultanate and till Mughal era. Then patch of Maratha history. After that, how Europeans conquered India, particularly Britishers conquered India. And last part, we are going to discuss that is national freedom struggle. So we are discussing something about prehistoric period right now. So in this prehistoric period, when written history is not available or whatever is written, we are not able to get, then that part we are calling as prehistoric era. Okay, thank you. I will make this video also. So while intervals are there, that means suppose 10 video lectures are finished, 15 video lectures are finished, then we are making this video and I'm focusing on that dates also. Thanks. So now we are focusing on a part that is prehistoric era, where the written history is not available or whatever is written by them, we are not able to get. That part we are considering as prehistory. Now, biologically, there is concept that is human evolution. Man evolved. We are assuming from ape-like animal. It is not ape. According to theory of evolution, man evolved from a shrew-like animal, something squirrel. You are aware of squirrel. So some shrew is there like that animal. From that evolved. Many people are saying that man is evolved from ape. So apes are our ancestor. Actually, they are not aware. By taking name of Darwin, they are taking this. But Darwin says, no, man is not evolved from ape. But ape and man both are having common ancestors. Keep in mind, that means accordingly, they say that you can call apes as your cousin. They are not your ancestors. Okay, take it only that much. Don't call your cousin as ape. But apes are our cousins. That means we both have same ancestor. Now there is debatable topic when man evolved. Because what Western historians are saying, accordingly, man evolved in Africa. Let me clarify whatever the written in book first. Okay, so what we have studied, that man evolved in Africa continent, particularly in the grasslands and forest area. Man evolved, and then onwards it starts shifting towards desert areas, and then man spread worldwide. That is the theory according to biology. But surprisingly, the fossils of man observed all over the world. The thing is that very ancient fossil of man is obtained in India only. When I was not aware, that means I was studying out. At that time, I studied out name of that ape, that is as Ramapithecus. And again, I got idea that whether that Ramapithecus, that whatever the Ram is there, that is our Lord Ram or something else. And surprisingly, I got, after that, I got some note that the researcher, he got this fossil in India in Shivalik range. He was aware of the Indian epics, Ramayana and Mankits. And so he given that epical name to that ape as Ramapithecus. That means ape of Ram. Ramapithecus is showing all characters of ape. Okay, then why he is called as primate? Primate means the first form of man. The thing is that he possesses only one character of man, that is, all teeth are of same height. If all teeth are of same height, say you observe the teeth of dog, cat, and if possible tiger, lion, etc., obviously on videos, you'll find their canines are longer. All teeth are of almost same height, where canines are longer, and lower canine is going to upper part and upper canine is going to lower part. So there is gap here and gap here. So lower canine can fit there when they shut the mouth. Whereas in man, the canines little bit taller. You can check your. Whereas they are not going this way, that lower canine is going to upper part and upper is going to lower part. So all continuous 32 teeth are there, 16 top, 16 bottom. So like that. So that is the part of human teeth pattern. Ramapithecus was ape-like only, with all respect. Only the thing is that all teeth were having same height. And they were filled out. They were not having gaps here. And that's why till 1930s, 1930s to 40s, this fossil was discovered. But till 1970s or 1960 to 70, that decade, the fossil was not having that important. But some American anthropologists suggested that this may be the primate. And then onwards, we started studying out. Now there is a lot of confusion between Ramapithecus and Shivapithecus. But now it is discovered that Shivapithecus is only ape, orangutan-like man. What is ape? Ape is monkey without tail. That means chimpanzee, orangutan, gorilla. They are categorized under ape. Whereas what we are observing, the monkeys, they are having tail. So monkey without tail, that is called as ape. From that, we got development in various parts of world. For example, Peking man, that is obviously in China. Cro-Magnon man, we got fossil in Germany, that is called as Neanderthal man, and like that developed. Whereas that theory, what we are saying, that man evolved in Africa and then scattered worldwide, that is getting wrong with this research, because Ramapithecus is considered as first ape to man transaction. If we are considering that, then the obvious thing is that man evolved in India, or the evolution process was simultaneously worldwide. It is not that it first evolved in Africa and then scattered worldwide, because some logical questions are there. A particular community, let us example, they are staying in equatorial region, where we are getting abundant water, abundant trees. So we have food. Those who are vegetarian, they have veg food. Those who are carnivores, they will get non-veg food. Everything is there in that forest. Why these people started leaving that forest and entered on grassland? Maybe possible over rainfall, and in search of other food, they entered in grassland. I can accept that also. But next thing I'm not able to accept, that from grassland, why they travel towards northern desert area? Or we have to say that along with Nile bank only, they travel. And like that, things are there in our mind. And so, because people were not aware of map at that time, that after crossing desert, we will get again good land and all. And so, these theories are having various contradiction. Anyway, this is just I'm giving you today introductory part of lecture. I'm ending out this session today. We'll continue the same session of history tomorrow at 10 o'clock. In previous session, we discussed about prehistoric part, then we discussed about evolution part, human evolution. And hi to everybody. There is simple request is there that use this dialog box to ask questions. And I'm trying to answer, but right now I am not able to observe that dialog box. So I will just focus on lecture, and then I will sit in the dialog box. It is just towards right side. All right. So let us start this lecture. So we discussed in yesterday's lecture about evolution, and at that time we discussed about Ramapithecus. Now, the theory we are discussing simultaneously. So what Western historians are telling and what we are having the concept. Say, for example, in Vedic literature, if you are aware that Earth is suspended in the space, this concept is clearly mentioned. This is at least we can say towards our side, if you are going, then also it is towards minimum 3000 years ago that literature was there. Then according to our knowledge, this our civilization, that Indian civilization, was spread to the great extent in the world in ancient period. But right now, what foreign historians are saying, that no, it was restricted to India, and we are going with that approach because we have to study out for academics purpose. So as I explained, that you have to observe these first 3 lectures on our channel. They are History 1, History 2, and History 3. You'll find that the newer lectures that you have to observe. Now, what we are going to discuss, the world was divided into 2 parts before 3000 years ago, that is nomadic world and civilized world. Now, what is the meaning of this civilization? The first part, that civilization, that indicates world was the people, they are staying in their own houses. Then they were having certain rules, regulations, maybe possible certain religion, and like that things, that is we are considering under civilized world. Whereas nomadic world, they were not building out their permanent houses. Yeah, tent-like houses may be there, but not permanent houses. That is their characteristic. And at that time, world was to greater extent nomadic. As we discuss in that lectures, we discuss about certain civilizations. You have to just get idea. In Indian epics, we are getting evidences of this Asur people. Then Mlencha, Yavana. Time to time, if you are reading, you will get these types of words. Say, for example, Dasyu, Yavana, Mlencha, Kirata. Like that words are used in Vedic, in this epical literature. They literally mean this way. Say, for example, we are talking about Asur. Now, going by our first 3 lectures, you will come to know that there was civilization practically called as Asur. According to one theory, these people, they were calling them as Asur. Asur is the word of God. They are using that is in terms of God. So these people were there. Then you will find another word, that is Yavana. Particularly prior to arrival of Greeks, this word is also used. But after arrival of Greeks, this word is used for Greek people. So Yavana may be possible, they say, that corrupted word of Ionian, as these people were calling themselves as Ionian. Then another part is there, Mlencho. The Mlencho word is indicating Central Asian nomadic tribes. So from epical period, we were in contact with these people. And then the most important thing, the word something like Kirata, particularly the people staying in Himalaya region, from ancient period, they were termed as Kirata people. Then that is native of the Himalayan region. Most probably these people were Mongoloid people. So the native of this Himalayan range, they were called as Kirata. Now, this indicate that we were having close contact with all these people. And that's why their references are there. Even you'll get surprised. A word, say for example, I'm taking this story of Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, it is mentioned that Yudhishthir was in contact with one person named as Maya Asura. And then he told Yudhishthir that I am going to build a huge palace, that nowhere in India that palace you'll find. It is strange palace I'm going to build. Now this Maya and Asura, these 2 words, many people refer this that he must be from Mexico, because what the culture was there in Mexico, that was called as Mayan culture. See the word in similarity. And then maybe possible that Mayan culture, that Asur was called as Maya, external person. Now many times this happen that we are calling, or we are not generally, the identification is different. Say for example, those who are coming from Europe area in old days, they were called as white people, but they were distinguished. They were Greeks, then Britishers, Roman people, like that. Now in our epic also it is mentioned, they mention about Roman people as harsh speaking Yavanas, Kothor Vani Yavan. So this way they are identifying. So these similarities are there. So we have to find out whether Mayasur was really from Mexico and he built some strange house. That's why Mahabharata happened. Anyway, but this type of references are there. References of China we are getting in Mahabharata and all that. So we are just getting introduction about these various civilizations, and from Indian point, we were aware of these all civilizations. Now we are switching over to the most important part, that the nomenclature. Now the question was asked in UPSC, that question, that who identified India as a Hind amongst the given list. So that we are going to discuss now. Now the thing is that from Indian side, if you observe western part, there was Pars, that area that is called as Persia, as I explained in that lecture number 2. Whereas 2 and 3. Whereas this Persia, from Persian side, if you observe towards Indian side, then Indus is the first river they are going to observe. That is the biggest river. Now, the thing is that there was no distinct boundary line. Usually we are saying black and white. No, there is no black and white. In between black and white, there is grayscale. So similarly here also, the Indian culture and Persian culture was having tremendous similarities as well as dissimilarities. But towards western part of Persia, their fusion is with Semite culture. So like that mixing is always there. Now from Persian side, if you are looking towards eastern side, then Indus, that is river Sindhu. I'm properly speaking in our language that the name of river is Sindhu. The meaning of Sindhu is sea. So that river we consider as huge river, something like a sea. Or whether our ancestors were aware that it was a form of sea only. Is it form of sea? Surprised to know that Indus River was flowing prior to formation of Himalaya. Geographically, today we are aware that prior to formation of Himalaya, this river was flowing. It is, we are calling as Trans-Himalayan river. Trans-Himalayan means going beyond Himalaya. The origin of this Indus River is beyond Himalaya, but you are aware, and if you are not, then we'll go through geography lecture. At that time also we are going to discuss, or right now we are having all these lectures on YouTube that you can check, that beyond Himalaya, that means greater Himalaya, there is a fourth range of Himalaya that is called as Kailas range. Towards north of Uttarakhand and Nepal, it is called as Kailas range. In Kashmir, it is called as, now it is Ladakh, not Kashmir. So in Ladakh, it is called as Karakoram range. The division factor is of river Indus. Indus is having origin beyond Kailas mountain. And then it is crossing over Kailas range in Jammu and Kashmir, or today's Ladakh session, and then it is flowing. This indicates that Indus River is having origin in the Tibetan plateau. Surprisingly, that is considered geographically true. There was Tethys, a sea between mainland of Asia and India. The sea was there, that is Tethys. That was come over as in form of Himalaya. And then this Indus River continued to flow. So whether this connectivity was there, our ancestor or not, I don't know. But the name of river is called as Sindhu. Now from Persian side, if you observe, the Sindhu is the biggest river. Other rivers, as I explained yesterday, Jhelum, Satluj, Ravi, Chenab, Bias. These 5 rivers, and most probably Saraswati, because Saraswati is explained in Indus Valley civilization again and again. And now there are evidences that yes, that river was flowing. So anyway, so these rivers, so main Sindhu is the word, whereas Persian people were not able to pronounce so word sometime. I'm saying, not always, sometime. Say for example, when they are taking their name of their nation, they are pronouncing as Pars. So it's pronounced. But now when they are pronouncing Sindhu, they are pronounced as Hindu. The sa word is corrupted as ha. This is usually happening when Sanskrit to Prakrit words are going. The sa is corrupted as ha. Va is corrupted as b. B. So like that, letters are changing out. Ya is corrupted as j. So like that, changes of letters. So Sindhu is considered as Hindu. And the people staying in that territory were called as Hindu. If you are going with that same concept, then literally Pakistan, it should be called as Hindu. Today, Chinese people, Southeast Chinese people should be called as Hindu because Hindu is flowing through that area. And now it is flowing in parts of Ladakh. Anyway, so this is the origin of word Hindu, according to one theory, I'm saying. Now, as this word is considered as Hindu, Greeks reformed it. Now, old days, these concepts were there, that whatever the words are there, they were changing out the word. Say, for example, that Sindhu, it changed as Hindu. Now, Hindu, it changed as Indus by Greeks. If you are going through names of Indian people, you will come to know. Say, for example, there was king named as Ambhi, but Sikandar started calling him as Ambis. Right now, I told Sikandar started calling him as Ambis. But what is his original name? Whether it was Sikandar or Alexander. But because Persian people start calling him Sikandar, we also pronounce the word as Sikandar. And so, that is the thing. Now, surprisingly, these things are there that Persian people not called him as Hikandar, they called him as Sikandar. So sometimes they are pronouncing so. I don't know grammar rule when we have to pronounce so or ho. Anyway, so this way, the area was called as Indus. And where Indus flows, that is India. So this way, our nation got our name as India. Keep in mind, it is not that some WhatsApp messages are there. Independent nation got in August like that. So if that is the thing, then why Britishers established British East India Company? French established French East India Company. Dutch established Dutch East India Company. So why that India word was there in 1600, 1700 like that? Okay, so India word was there in European literature from Greek invasion onwards. Greeks identified this territory as India. The original word is Sindhu, corrupted in Persian as Hindu, that is corrupted in Greeks as Indus, and where Indus flows, that is India. So just I told that Ambhi was name of king called as Ambis. Puru was name of king called as Paurus. Pars was name of nation called as Persia. So like that, Greeks corrupted various words. They corrupted like that. Now, from Greeks, the word is corrupted as India, but Persians continued to call this as Hindu. And where that Hindu river is flowing, that is Hind. So the first should be Persians to identify our territory as Hind. But later on, Arabs were under terrific influence of Persian culture. They also identified this territory as Hind. But according to definition of Arab, the area was restricted initially only in the basin of river Indus. That's why in latter phase, when Muhammad bin Qasim invaded Sindh territory, he reported, I conquered Hind. Entire Hind I conquered. Many people are cross-checking this way that Muhammad bin Qasim was not aware the greatness of India, how it is. And therefore, by conquering a small corner of India, he started claiming that he conquered Hind. But the real thing is that according to their concept, the Hind means region from which river Indus flows. So if I'm considering that, then it's all right. So this way we are having name that river Sindhu. And that's why from river Sindhu, this word Hindu is there. From river Sindhu, the word Indus is there and India is there. So though you are calling India, that is identifying river Indus only. Yeah, Kamal Kumar, you are right. Darius is first invader, but he didn't identify this river as Indus. They were, at that time, they were calling as Hindu only. Another thing is that Darius is not original name of king. It may be Dhairyesh, Daryush. Various names are identified. If you are aware with Zoroastrian culture, say we are there in Mumbai, so we are in close contact with many Parsi people. Parsi dairy farms are there, and they are having name as Daryush. They consider this as Daryush, which is corrupted in Greek language as Darius, because Persia was ruled by Darius. Persia was ruled by Greeks for many centuries later on. All right, thanks. So there is cultural exchange. Always when invaders are arriving, certain culture they are taking from, say for example, Persians invaded India, so they acquired certain things from India, whereas we acquired certain things from them. For example, Khoroshtri script, we acquire from Persian people. All right, we will discuss in later phase about that. Chalo. So we are focusing again on that, the name of India. According to another concept, that Indian people in ancient period were considering moon as the sacred one. Today also we are aware that our calendar is also based on sun and moon, not only on moon, but moon as well as sun. But moon is considered as very important. You are aware that various festivals in India, in Hindu culture, they are depending upon phases of moon. And many times you are aware that by observing moon only, you have to carry out certain festival. So that is in Indian culture I am telling. So that moon is considered as sacred. That is in Sanskrit having various names. For example, Chandra. If you are finding out, you will find that in ancient period, various people were considering suffix or prefix as Chandra. Say for example, I am not saying Lord Ram. I should say Prabhu Ramachandra. So that Chandra word, Chandra suffix is added to many Indian words. Or say the first known emperor in India, Chandragupta. So again, prefix they are adding at Chandra. So like that, either first one or last one Chandra word, we are considering Chandra as important thing. And obviously, this is the second brightest object in the night sky. In the sky. And in night sky, it is the brightest object. So that is important. In Sanskrit, Chandra is called as Indu. One of the word is Indu. And from that, may be possible the word corrupted as Hindu. So like that, various theories are there. For more detail, I will recommend you to go buy a book that is called as Six Glorious Epoch by V.D. Savarkar. Fantastic book is there. On savarkarsmarak.com, you will get this copy for free download. PDF format is there, free download is there. So observe that part. In initial part only, he explained how the word origin. So various theories are there. Out of that, one theory is that from river Sindhu, our name is there. Another theory is that from Hindu, this word is corrupted as Hindu. Anyway, so this is the way, the name. Now, in ancient period, whether we were going outside or they were invading us, that was something different. Again, whether we were considering Persia as outside India or it was considered as part of India, this is also biggest question. The thing is that we are considering this entire territory as Aryavarta. Even when we are talking about Mahajanapada, certain Mahajanapada were reported in India, they were outside India. Say for example, the Gandhara, you are aware, today's northwest frontier region, that is of Pakistan, where Peshawar is there, Takshashila is there, that is in northwest part of Pakistan. Now, in due course of history, it was part of Afghanistan. Britishers occupied that territory of Afghanistan and considered under northwest frontier region. But in ancient period, this was called as Gandhara. Beyond Gandhara, there was territory called as Balhik. Now, our literature, Sanskrit literature, identify that as Balhik, whereas from Persian literature, that is identified as Balkh. So, Balhik, Balkh. Whereas Greeks identified that territory as Bactria, that is towards western part of Gandhara, means in Afghanistan, towards eastern part of Persia and western part of Afghanistan. But to surprise to know that Kazakhstan territory or that Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, this part, we are usually calling this as Central Asia, that was identified as Uttar Kuru. Say, Kurus most probably were from Delhi or north part of Uttar Pradesh. Whereas these Uttar Kuru were not at all in India. These Uttar Kuru were there in Kazakhstan or south part of Kazakhstan, north part of Turkmenistan and all that Central Asian part. So like that, various territories were identified in different way from India and from outside world. Now say, when any invader used to Yeah, it is corrupted word. It is Kandhar. That is, we are calling that as most probably corrupted as Gandhar. Even Ghazni, that is also there. That is also called as Gajani. Sanskrit word is there, Gajani, where elephants are there. That is Gajni. So you can find out, and the biggest evidence you can find out, the biggest mountain in Afghanistan is having name as Hindu Kush. And all that we are going to discuss. Thanks for information, Saurabh. Now, we are now considering again that areas we are focusing on. So this way we were identifying. Now, if you are looking carefully, north part of Himalaya is protected by, north part of India is protected by Himalayan ranges. And it was very difficult at that time to cross out these Himalayan ranges. Western part of India, that is actually Pakistan, I have to say, that must be controlled, covered by also, that was also covered by Himalayan ranges, but different names are there. Say, for example, Kirthar, Suleiman, Hindu Kush, these are names of Himalayan ranges over there. They are also very difficult to cross, but not as difficult as main part of Himalaya. And they were having certain passes. Out of that, two important passes we have to discuss. One is Bolan Pass, that is in today's Baluchistan, and other is Khyber Pass. You are aware that is in northwest frontier region. From Peshawar onwards, you can go towards Afghanistan. We have to cross this Khyber Pass. And various invaders came to India via Khyber Pass. So this way, they entered via Khyber Pass. So my topic was something different. So we were considering that entire Indian territory only. Whereas cultural differences were obviously there. Right now also in India, you can go from Maharashtra to Gujarat. You'll find similarities in culture as well as differences in culture. If you are switching from Gujarat to Rajasthan, you'll find similarities in culture as well as differences in culture. Same way, you cross one state to another, you'll find that two states, now North Indian states, say for example, we are talking of UP and Bihar, they were having similarities, but they were having dissimilarities also. No doubt, geographical conditions are extremely same, everything is same, but still cultural differences are taking place in spite of all geographical similarities are there. So reasons are various, we are going to discuss after that. So this way, worldwide various cultures were there, they were identified by different names. Now what our problem was there, any invader was coming out, that invader was coming out either through Bolan Pass or through Khyber Pass, but both passes were opening out from Afghanistan. And so we were considering our invaders from Afghanistan territory. Actually, they were not Afghan. They were using this Afghanistan as a step. And from that, they were entering into India. But from Indian side, if you look, we will finding that that is enemies coming towards Afghanistan side. Now, many time ancient people, those we were considering as scholar, but they were also not having that knowledge. Say, for example, we came across one Sanskrit shlok, where that poet mentioned that why sun is traveling towards north side and again towards south side, again towards north side, may be possible to change his horses of his chariot. So he is traveling towards northern side. Surprise. According to concept of poet, to the north side of India, there is best place to get horses. And that's why sun is traveling towards north side. Now, practically, you are aware that towards north side, yeah, in Mongolia, they are there. But maximum horses, best horses we are calling, they are Arabian horses, as well as Turkey horses. Turkestan is towards northwestern side of India, not towards north side. But they assume that it is towards north side. So like that concepts are there. So we have to consider all these things and we have to discuss. Whatever we are going to discuss, that is on basis. This is just all we are making introductory lectures first. So these all we are getting just familiar with the culture. I'm recommending again that first observe video lecture number 1 to 3 of this our channel. Then big history videos are there. Some 13-hour, 17-hour videos are there. Observe that big history video. You'll find playlist on our channel that is big videos. In that you'll find this big history. So observe that episodes and then we can discuss. These classes we are intended in discussion. So if you are having some questions, you can ask here. I am also trying getting familiar with this technique. I'm now allowing you to ask questions. Some questions were asked already, but if you want to ask some questions, you can ask directly here, or otherwise I'm going to stop. We are meeting out tomorrow again. Sorry, tomorrow is Sunday, so tomorrow will be holiday. So my next lecture will be on Monday on same timing, 10 o'clock. Our lecture will be there. Thanks. So in previous session, we have focused on history part, where we discussed something about Persia, then the name of our nation, how India was there, who called our nation Hind as first, and how India name was developed. Now we are focusing on Indian literature. The question is that why Indian literature? Say earlier way, my sequence of teaching was something different. But now we decided that, okay, we'll focus first on Indian literature. And after this literature focus, we will switch over to the discussion. The thing is that we must aware the richness of literature, because various things are there in Indian literature. You will find that they are not observed outside in contemporary period. So for example, what you are reading out Vedas today, and you have to compare the book which is written 3000 years ago at least. Then we have to compare, and then you can match the concepts. So let us start Indian literature, or rather than that, ancient Indian literature first. So obviously ancient Indian literature is in Sanskrit language. My lecture number 4 is there on history, that is on a channel. You can go through that for detail. Here we are discussing. So Indian literature is ancient Indian literature is predominantly in Sanskrit. Other than that, certain other languages are also used. Say for example, Prakrit. Then what is Prakrit? Which is derived from Sanskrit, but not Sanskrit. That is called as Prakrit. So there are total some 6 Prakrit languages at that time. Later on, they developed to very great extent. Whereas the debatable question is always there, which is the world's ancient language? And the answer we are getting on internet search that it is Tamil language, that is the ancient most. But we are clear that yes, it is one of the ancient language. That's all. Now, debatable topic is there whether Sanskrit is first or other languages were there, and from that Sanskrit is derived. But whatever the ancient literature we are getting, if you are going by that way, you will get that Vedic literature is the ancient most. Again, debatable topic. Always, I'm just, that's why I'm saying that I am discussing now. The debatable topic, that is Western historians are saying that Zend Avesta, that is the book of Zoroastrian or Parsi people, that is the ancient most. According to Jain literature is ancient most, or first Tirthankar, that is called as Rishabhadeva. That is the Adinath. So that is the ancient most. So it is always debatable topic because the exact period of Vedas are not fixed. According to Western scholars, they are stretching back. At the most, they say 3000 years. Okay. But according to Indian scholars, they are stretching out even till 30,000, 35,000 and that. According to biology, we are aware that the agricultural man developed around 10,000 years ago. So one can't stretch out Vedas beyond 10,000 years. But whatever the circumstances are given in Vedas, accordingly they are stretching out. They are finding out the situation in the sky, whatever the position of stars and everything is mentioned. Accordingly, they are stretching, and they are saying that it is at least 30,000 years ago. Whatever the thing, Vedas are very, very ancient. There 2 languages are used. One language is called as ancient, that is Vedic Sanskrit, and second is comparatively newer, that is Laukik Sanskrit. For that purpose, that literature discussion, you have to go through that. And then we have to focus on this Vedic literature, basically this ancient Indian literature. So we are focusing in Sanskrit. So Vedic Sanskrit, that is Vedic literature, 4 Vedas. They are Rigved, Yajurved, Samaved, and Atharvaved. Then onwards, Upanishad. Upanishad we can consider something as guides for understanding Vedas. Then Brahmanaka and Aranyaka. Now it is said that in those period, civilization process developed, and therefore in the city life, the peacefulness was not observed, and therefore certain sages started going into forest, that is Aranya, and what they thought they have written, that is called as Aranyaka. So like that processes they are there. So totally Veda, Upanishad, Brahmanaka and Aranyaka, this is all comprising we are considering as Vedic literature. Then onwards there is literature part that is called as Purana. Purana is already having word that is ancient, meaning of that. More than 300 Purana they are there. Out of that, 18 Purana are considered as main. Even certain books like Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are very, very greatly influenced Indian community, Indian society, but still they are not considered in Purana, but they are having status as equivalent to Purana. All right, so concept is very, very clear for you now that Ramayana and Mahabharata is not considered under Purana, but it is having status equivalent to Purana. Now, the topics. We are just discussing here some debatable topic. Out of that, one important thing, that which is the sacred book for Hindus. Vedic word I am not using. Here the word is used as Hindus, which is the sacred book or holy book. Now, I hope this is something always debatable part, because many foreign scholars, particularly when Britishers established their kingdom over India, their rule over India, they emphasize on their judiciary system, where we have to swear by keeping your hand on your religious book. And for that purpose, some religious book is required. Obviously, those who are Christian, they can swear on Bible. Those who are Muslim, they can swear on Quran. But what about Hindus? Because all things we are considering our only. Vedas, yeah. Purana, Upanishad, like that. All these books. Even according to Hinduism, Lord Buddha is considered as incarnation of Vishnu. And that's why whatever we are speaking, they are considering the Buddhist concept in Hinduism only. Jainism, no doubt it is a separate part, it is a separate sect, but still Hindus considered Jain principles in their own only. So for example, you are aware, during prescribed period, that is called like Chaturmasa, we avoid to eat onion and garlic. Many of us, not all, but they used to avoid eating garlic and onion in that period. This is no doubt influence of Jainism or Hinduism. Or all over India, with fewer exceptions of region, non-veg eating is considered as that not good thing. Veg eating is considered as good thing. This is considered as influence of Buddhism and Jainism over Hinduism. So like that, things are there. And then there was a question, what we had to consider as the sacred book. And then Britishers designed, with Indian scholars obviously, that Bhagavad Gita should be sacred book for Hindus. And then we are calling Bhagavad Gita as sacred book. But actually you are aware that no doubt it is one of the sacred book, but one can't say it is the scripture of only Hinduism. The thing is that, number one, read out the entire Gita. You'll never find a word Hindu in this entire book. Second thing, if I am accepting Gita as my scripture, that is the sacred book, only sacred book, then prior to Gita, means prior to Mahabharata, because Bhagavad Gita is the book which is given by Lord Sri Krishna to Arjun on the battlefield. So prior to that, those who are there, they should not be considered as Hindu if we are considering that. And that's why clear-cut idea should be there in our mind that there is no single book for Hinduism as sacred book. Gita is one of the sacred book of Hinduism. Rather than that, Gita is explaining all the essence of whatever the earlier literature in somewhat simplified manner. That is the understanding. Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. All right. So this is something about this literature part. Then Hindu this religion that is not only consisting of these all books. Apart from that, uh, Darshana Vangmay, that what revealed by sages, that is also considered. 9 books are considered as Darshana Vangmay. Out of that, 6 are considered as Astik Darshana Vangmay, and 3 are considered as Nastik Darshana Vangmay. Thing is that Astik, they accept Vedas as standard, Vedas as apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means not given by any man, it is given by God. Then that literature we are calling as Astik Vangmay. Nastik Vangmay, that means those who are not considering Vedas as standard, or Vedas are not given by God. They are considering the Vedas, but they consider that Vedas are man-made, not given by God. Then that literature we are considering as Nastik Vangmay. So Charvaka, Bauddha and Jain, 3 literature part, 3 Darshan Vangmay we are considering under Nastik Vangmay. Remaining 6 we are considering under Astik Vangmay. Now, these all things, apart from that, books on Rasayan Shastra, then Shilpa Shastra, like that various books, Chitrakala, and like that various books are there. You'll come to know step by step when we are uploading these lectures on YouTube. Things are there, or my big video lecture is there on YouTube. On the same channel, you can search out, you'll get that entire idea. But just I'm giving you here outline. Now, the question is about Ramayana and Mahabharata. Now, this is the period of lockdown, and many people are observing Ramayana and Mahabharata on television. So this is revision, one can say. The thing is that Ramayana is also a book which is not given in one shot. Keep in mind, there are segments in Ramayana. Ramayana is written by great sage that is called as Valmiki. But if you are tracing out the history of this great sage Valmiki, you'll find that he was not belonging to any sage family or sacred family. He was a robber in the forest. He was a robber. He was a tribal man. And his business was robbery. Great sage Narad converted him to this non-violent activity. And then onwards, he is considered as Adya Kavi, the first poet. Again, debatable topic is there. Prior to Valmiki, whether there was poetry or not, because if you are listening to Vedas, they are all in poetic form. That is, they consider something different. Here, the description, and that's why they consider this Valmiki as Adya Kavi. He was converted from this robbery to sage. He left his past and become sage afterwards, and then he wrote this book, that is Ramayana. Now, that Ramayana was having end when Lord Ram returns to Ayodhya. That was the end part. Whereas, after many years, another part was written of Ramayana that was not by Valmiki, that is called as Uttarakanda. So Uttarakanda is not actually part of Ramayana, which was written by sage Valmiki. After him, many years, this part was joined. Same way about Mahabharata. The original Mahabharata written, I should not say original Mahabharata, but original book written by great sage Vyas, that was called as Jaya, which was comprising of 8,000 slok. He named that book as Jay. It was of 8,000 shlok. Later on, his disciple, name is Vaishampayan, he expanded it, elaborated it from 8,000 shlok to 24,000 shlok. That means 3 times dilution, 3 times expansion is there. And then that is called as Bharata. Say, these ancient people were very nice. They were not claiming the same name. That is to avoid confusion, simple thing. So Jay was written by Maharshi Vyasa, whereas Vaishampayan expanded that story into 24,000 shlok named as Bharata. Much later period, another great sage named as Sauti. So Sauti and his disciples, not alone Sauti, Sauti and his disciples expanded this Jay or say Bharat into 1 lakh shlok. So initially 8,000, then 24,000, and then 1 lakh, where they given name this book as Shata Sahastri Samhita. Shata 100, Sahastra 1,000. 100,000 shlok are there, so Shata Sahastri Samhita. But it is very long name to pronounce. People simply called it Mahabharat because Bharat was the book given by Vaishampayan, 24,000 multiplied more than 4 times Mahabharat. And this is the way Mahabharat was there. So whatever the given in book of Mahabharat by Vyas, that is of only 8,000 shlok, it is expanded to 24,000 by Vaishampayan, and it is expanded to 1 lakh by Sauti and his disciples. So these are the names. And now you may find out the thing that how Bhagavad Gita is there in this Mahabharat. Getting idea? So this is something we are talking about, this Indian literature. Whatever the thing that Upanishad onwards, the literature is there in Sanskrit, that is called as Laukik Sanskrit. Whereas Vedas are having Sanskrit used, that is called as Vedic Sanskrit. Zend Avesta, that means the sacred book of Zoroastrian people, which is also very, very ancient, that is having tremendous language similarity, this linguistic similarity with Vedic literature. This is one of the remarkable thing. Those who are thinking always knowledge is coming from Western side, for them it's all right. But what Indian approach is there, that knowledge is going from India to outside. For this, we have to consider this way also, that why there is tremendous similarity between Vedic Sanskrit and the Sanskrit used in Zend, Sanskrit not language used in the Zend Avesta. So anyway, this is something we are discussing about Indian literature. Apart from that, you will find that various other plays, for example, play given by Kalidas, but that play is in much later period. It is not something 2,000 years ago or like that, but they are also there. So the plays given by Mahakavi Kalidas, then Bhas wrote various dramas, and various books were written in Sanskrit. Even if you are aware that one of the great book written in Sanskrit, that is also Upanishad, but we don't know exact the period of this Upanishad when it is comprised. The name of this Upanishad is Allopanishad. You are getting surprised by maybe possible hearing name Allopanishad. The thing is that various theories are there. Exact period of this Allopanishad is not known, but some scholars are assuming this, that during rule of Akbar, under influence of Akbar, particularly when he was establishing a religion that is called as Tawhid-e-Ilahi, or that is commonly known as Din-e-Ilahi. When he was establishing that religion, at that time this book, Allopanishad, was composed. Or according to some scholars, this was composed under influence of elder brother of Aurangzeb or elder son of Shah Jahan. His name was Dara Shikoh, because Dara Shikoh is the person who translated Upanishad into Persian language. From Sanskrit to Persian, he translated. He means under his influence, these books were translated from Sanskrit to Persian. In European scholars, there is one person named as Akketil Duperron. Spelling is something different, but the pronounce of that spelling is Akketil Duperron. He translated his Upanishad into Latin language, and then onwards they spread into European language. So great credit is there to Dara Shikoh, elder brother of Aurangzeb. Now, under his influence only, this Upanishad called as Allopanishad was composed. The scholars, those who have studied out this Allopanishad, they said that it is just under influence of some foreign ruler or like that this was written, but this is not having that taste of Upanishad which were comprised in very ancient period. Anyway, the thing is that like that Sanskrit literature is developing also. It is not that only in period of BC only Sanskrit literature was there. In much later phase, it is there. Now, apart from that, in India, Tamil language was also one of the ancient language. Tamil is not derived directly or indirectly from Sanskrit. Keep in mind, they are separate languages. Apart from that, uh, literature is there in Pali language, which is surviving, which is even, they say that more than 1 lakh shlok literature is there. It is in form of Tripitaka. Pitaka means basket. Tripitaka, set of 3 basket, they say. And like that, ancient literature that is there in Pali language, that is Tripitaka. Jain literature is also there. They are also having very great literature in various languages, and they are translated out in Sanskrit. Surprisingly, vast part of this Jain literature was in Paishachi language. This is one of the Prakrit language, most probably language in northwestern part of India or today's this northwest frontier region of Pakistan, that is called as Pakhtunistan, most probably. So that is the Paishachi language. So Jain literature to very great extent was there in Paishachi language, but now we don't have any reference of this Paishachi language. This is translated from Paishachi to Sanskrit. So this way, Sanskrit literature is enriched. Now, Jain literature, that is called as Agama Grantha. So whatever the comprising of this all literature, that is considered under Agama Grantha. So this is something about Indian literature we are discussing out. Thanks for observing this video. Tomorrow, our lecture will be exactly at 10 o'clock, little bit here and there, but around 10 o'clock, our lecture will be there. And we are discussing at that time about the literature outside India in ancient period. Welcome in this our 4th history session. So as I discussed that in this lecture also, we are going to discuss something about ancient Indian history. So here we are focusing again on the literature part of this art and culture. So we discuss that ancient literature is in Sanskrit language. Particularly, we are now focusing on Sanskrit literature. There are 4 Vedas: Rigved, Yajurved, Samaved, and Atharvaved. The ancient most book in the world, as we consider, that is of Rigved, and some foreign historians, not all, but some foreign historians are considering that is Zend Avesta. Now, apart from Ved, there are Upanishad, Brahmanaka, and Aranyaka. All these things we are considering under Vedic literature. Then onwards, Purana. Some 300 Puranas are there. Out of that, 18 Purana are considered as the most important thing. Then onwards, we discuss about Darshana Vangmay. That is 9 Darshana Vangmay. That is out of that 6 considered as Astik Darshan and 3 considered as Nastik Darshan. Now, this is something we are discussing about literature. Apart from this, vast literature is there on Natya Shastra, Shilpa Shastra, Chitrakala, Chanda Shastra, and all these things. So for that purpose, our regular lectures are there. So you can go through that lecture where the details of this thing we are giving. Now we are switching over to a point that this was Indian literature, particularly during the Sanskrit part. Now, apart from that, as we discussed, that Jain literature is also there, that is called as Agama Grantha. Buddhist literature, that is called as Tripitaka. Mostly Buddhist literature is in Pali language. Now, we are now focusing the history of India, particularly when we had to begin it. All right. So from what point we had to get. So we are saying the first problem in Indian history, or foreign authors, they are saying the first problem in Indian history, that Indian people, they are not having habit of writing in detail, the first thing. Then they are usually writing out some extraordinary things, if they are at all writing out. Now, like that, some arguments are there. No doubt, we are saying that our history is very, very ancient history. But historians were not ready to accept the ancientness of this Indian history. And ultimately, they decided that uh, the birth or the particular life of Lord Gautam Buddha, that should be considered as first fixing point. How they checked out, according to Buddhist literature in India and records found outside India, they first fix out the life of Lord Gautam Buddha. Accordingly, they adjusted out the period that is of Jain Tirthankar, that is Mahavir. Now, the record is there, according to Buddhist literature, that when Lord Buddha was preaching out Buddhism, at that time, King Ajatashatru was ruling at Magadh. So, we can fix out now period of Ajatashatru. Ajatashatru was belonging to a dynasty that is called as Yanka Dynasty. He killed his father by starvation. The name of his father, that was Bimbisara. So now we can fix out period of Bimbisara. We can fix out period of Ajatashatru. Now, second line, we are considering that when very, very few seconds, but a meeting was there between Chandragupta and Alexander. But the name given in Greek literature, that is not Chandragupta, that is mentioned as Kondrakotus. And historians believe that most probably this Kondrakotus, that means Chandragupta. So whatever the thing, they fix out period of Alexander the Great because that was known for Greek historian. From that we can consider Indian. And at that time, Chandragupta Maurya was contemporary of Alexander. So this way they fixed out certain points in ancient Indian history. They say that we can't stretch back this history because history requires evidences. Without evidence, we can't say. Whereas we were, means Indian origin argument was there, our history is much more ancient. It is not just 2300 years ago. Prior to that also India was existing. And then we got evidence, particularly that evidence was too early evidence we got, that is Indus Valley civilization. In valley of river Indus, we got city that is Harappa. Followed by that, another city was discovered, that is Mohenjo-daro. And now many cities were in ruin. They were discovered, and yet we are getting newer evidences. Now this Indus Valley civilization was stretching out from Kabul to Kabul in Afghanistan, to northwest part, to Daimabad in Maharashtra, southeast part, inclusive of Rajasthan, Gujarat, Sindh, that is of Pakistan, and Baluchistan. All these territories, they were having this Indus Valley civilization sites. So we are now getting evidences of Indus Valley civilization site, but they were, so they are at least 5,000 years ago, these cities were lost out. Some of the cities continued, for example, Amri, that continued to survive, but it was also lost around 4,000 years ago. And then we are not getting any connecting link between this Indus Valley civilization site and whatever our present history. That means from Bimbisar and all that. We are not getting any connecting line. Say, evidences we are getting either 5,000 years ago or from Mauryan period, that is Ashoka Pillar we are getting. So this way there is problem that we are not getting any archaeological evidences between this period. No doubt, what is the basic theory from Western historian, that Indians, they are not developed by their own sake. Some foreigner or foreigners arrived and then they developed Indian side. Whatever good things are there in India, they are not there from India. They are developed by outsiders. That is the view. Say, actually, historians should not have any spectacle. It should not have any misted vision. But Maximum foreign historians, they are of this type of opinion. They wanted to prove that yes, India land is there, but developed particularly from outsider. So we are saying about Sanskrit literature, but they claim that no, this Sanskrit literature is developed by Aryan people, and Aryans were outsider. All right. Now, various crops in India, they believe that these crops were not there in India. They came from outside to inside. So, for example, wheat. Wheat cultivation was carried out in the region that is of Mesopotamia. That is the region between Tigris and Euphrates. And in latter phase, they developed wheat cultivation all over the world. So in India, wheat was not there. So like that, arguments are there. But very fortunate that in Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, that is Indus Valley civilization site, we got wheat. And that is the most important thing, that we got wheat remains. That means wheat was present in India at least 5,000 years ago. We are not aware. But they say that Indus Valley civilization was developed somewhere around 5,500 years ago. Between that 500 years, it was flourished and lost. So that is the thing. Now, Indian people are not having habit of writing anything. I'm now going to contradict one by one statement. So Indus Valley civilization, we are getting various palettes. They were called as seals. That something is written on that, but we can't read. So script was present in India. What Western argumentation is there, that Indians were not aware how to write. And from Armenia, that is northwestern part of Iran, we borrowed script. So like that, arguments are there. But in Indus Valley civilization, we were having script because on every seal something, some message is written on that. We can't read yet. Many people tried to decipher it. Decipher means getting meaning of that. But 100% or the most acceptable is not there. Some scholars are saying that language is Sanskrit only, but script is not Devanagari. Some different script is used, but language is Sanskrit. But some arguments are there that is not Sanskrit, but that is Tamil language, or like that things. But no doubt that we are not able to get clear-cut message what that was deciphered, that was written. We are not able to decipher. Now, another thing is that we were not having habit of writing. Now, surprisingly, whatever the epics are there, they are in written form only. Vedic literature, very vast literature that was there. Mahabharata, Ramayana, Mahabharata is comprising of 1 lakh shlok, Tripitaka, more than 1 lakh shlok, and like that, we are not having habit of writing. That is not accepted. Whereas the thing is that India was invaded by various outsiders. Keep in mind, various outsiders, and these outsiders, rather than developing our culture, many times they destroyed our culture. That is the reality. For example, Huns, or they were called as Humnu. These people invaded India. When they invaded it second time, they destroyed Takshashila University, which was present near Peshawar in northwest frontier region, today's Pakistan. So they destroyed that entire university, burnt out. When Bakhtiyar Khilji, a Turki invader, slave of Muhammad Ghauri, he invaded Bihar part. At that time, another famous university was there in Bihar. That was actually worldwide famous university, that is Nalanda University. That was destroyed. And the records are there that he burnt out books present in that. So like that, this is recorded, but many things are not recorded. And then we will get the reason that why we are not getting records between Mohenjo-daro, Harappa and Mauryan Emperor. Many things we can assume that they either have burnt or they are destroyed by foreign invaders. Or maybe possible they may be present, like Harappa was unknown for us. Mohenjo-daro was unknown for us for many years. Even in Maharashtra, there are caves, they are called as Ajanta caves. All caves were not aware. Very few, 3 or 4 caves were known. remaining all caves were hidden or intentionally hidden to save it from foreign invaders. So like that, the things are there. So you'll get idea here. That is very clear idea that time to time foreign invaders invaded India and they destroyed, and not necessarily always foreign invader. Indians, they were also in war. Say for example, in South India, the Chanakya and Cheras were in constant war and they destroyed each other's capitals. Record is there. And like that, you'll get that when this war was there, at that time also certain things were destroyed. We had to, there is lot of need to excavate it. So for example, a great Indian emperor, we are going to discuss about him in later phase, but right now I am giving reference that is named as Rajendra Chola from Tamil Nadu, that is from Tanjavur. Its capital initially was Tanjavur, then he shifted to nearby Tanjavur area, some 60 kilometers away from it, that is called as Gangai Konda Cholapuram. So he shifted his capital there. He was controlling vast area of South India, then to the Maldives, to the Andaman Nicobar Island, and to the Indonesia, to the North India, till Ganga Valley. That's why he took title Gangai Konda Chola. So like that, the vast empire he was holding out, he was very rich, very brave, etc., etc., everything. But after his death, his capital was in ruin. And now we got that evidence that here the palace is there. On this same channel, you'll find that Tanjavur video is there, as well as the video of Gangai Konda Cholapuram. That is also there. You can observe that video. Entire palace is in ruin and very fewer parts of that palace in excavation we are getting. That is also under the soil we are getting. So how big that palace you can compare by Tanjavur temple, Brihadeshwar temple and nearby areas, then we can compare the construction site. Now, many things in India were there in India first and then taken outside. But they are labeled as outsider only. Say for example, the numerical system, numbers. What present day numbers we are using, that is developed by Indian sages. When Arabs invaded India, at that time they copied that. And then they carried out that numbering system. Still, the Arabs calling that numbering system as Hindasa. So that is borrowed from Hind, that is India. That same numerical system was transported from Arabs to European, and that's why the style of number, that is same as in Indian style. But according to European, these numbers were borrowed from Arabian people. See the thing, what happened exactly here. The similar things are happening about many things in India. So for example, in art and architecture, we are talking of little bit about art and architecture. They say that Greeks were advanced in architecture. The artwork of Greeks were very good, like that. But when they are describing about Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, the surprise to know, they say that whatever the seals we are getting, on that seal, whatever the artwork is there, that is so fine that even ancient Greeks were not able to make that. So they are now comparing that artwork with ancient Greeks. So this is the similar thing. Now Greeks, that ancient Greeks were around 2800 years ago, whereas Mohenjo-daro, Harappa we lost somewhere 5000 years ago. So you will get here idea that why they are comparing with Greeks. Actually, Indian architecture, Indian artwork was very good. Now in Indus Valley Civilization, we got underground drainage system. We got the use of baked bricks. The roads were so broad that at a time 2 bullock carts can pass out. We are getting variety of things that present world is using. Say for example, use of bronze, it was there in Mohenjo-daro, Harappa. Use of gold, it was there. baked bricks, then whatever the uh, planned city, everything we are getting in Mohenjo-daro or Harappa, huge granary and all. So this all indicate that Mohenjo-daro or Indus Valley civilization was having very good sight of this art and architecture. Now, surprise that whatever the idols we are getting in Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, you are aware of that dancing girl idol that is made up of bronze. So at that time, at least 5,000 years ago, Indians were aware how to use bronze and how to convert that into that idol. And that was also very nice idol. Proportionality, the position, just by looking at that, some can explain that this is idol of dancing girl. So that was the art in India. Then another that we are calling that person as yogi or sage. That idol we are getting. That is the, we can check out on internet that photograph of that idol. You'll find that whatever the cloth is there on his body, the design that is also very nicely depicted over there. The beard, then hairstyle, everything that reports very nicely. So this type of art and artwork was there in India 5,000 years ago. They say, foreign historians usually say that the dome construction is not there in India in ancient period. We borrowed it from Persia. Whereas, particularly in European ideology, they consider dome construction in a Central Asian style. Now, how dome construction was there in Central Asia? Because just we discussed that Central Asia, that was a nomadic place. People were not developing their houses. They were staying in the tents. And how they will build directly dome over there? The thing is that some records are there when Babur invaded India. He was astonished by observing vast buildings in India, great buildings in India. And then he decided that such buildings we have to construct in in Central Asia. He was basically from Samarkand. And then he sent this craftsman, architect, everybody from India to Samarkand for construction of this type of buildings. And this way, the huge buildings, mosques, etc., they were developed in Samarkand. So this is what is reported, I'm telling. And this way you will get idea that Indian architecture was well developed. Today also, we are not able to make replica of such things. Say for example, if you observe Kailas temple, it is the best example of carved out temple. Entire hill was cut down into temple. This is monolithic structure. That means the structure developed in single stone. Whereas if you are visiting out a place in South India that is named as Badami, or original name is Vatapipuram in epic, it is reported as some giant was there named as Vatapi. He was killed there, and so at time of death, he was promised that your name will be there. That name is Vatapipuram, or it is simply called as Badami. Near this Vatapipuram, very good caves are there, rock cut caves. In that Vatapipuram. Then nearby area, there is Patakkal, Aihole, like that places where we are getting very good example of temples, carved out temples, as well as erected temple. Two categories of temples we are considering: carved out and erected. Kailas temple is example of carved out temple. So Brihadeshwar temple is example of erected temple. Some styles, some here and there, they are there. But still, we are having very good example of this temple. If you observe temple at Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh, they are great, large temples. Even if you want to find bigger temple, then you have to go outside India. Surprise. That is in Cambodia. The place is Angkor Wat, where The world's greatest Hindu temple was there. Now it is considered under Buddhist temple. Vishnu temple was there. It is there. You can go to YouTube channel and check out the Angkor Wat temple, the area covered. So this way we are getting the examples of architecture in India. Throughout India, we are getting these all evidences. Now, carving was actually, we can say, hobby or main business in India, doubtful, because huge idols were carved out. In Afghanistan, today's Afghanistan, at that time it was part of India only, or Gandhar, you can say, there is a territory called as Bamiyan. The world's largest Buddhist idols were there in Bamiyan. Around 1999 or 2000, they destroyed that Bamiyan Buddhist idol. But otherwise, they were present. Now, this is best example how Indian art and architecture was destroyed in such countries. So maybe possible in ancient period also these things were there. They have changed out to something else or they have destroyed. So we have to now develop our view in this fashion. But according to our history study, whatever we are discussing, that these all territories in India, they were developed because of foreign invader. Even literature, how Aryans have invaded India, and therefore they spread out that literature throughout India. So like that, theories are given by foreign historian. I'm just taking fewer data of this description. The first important thing that Max Muller put forward his theory of Aryan invasion. And then he taken it back also. So first thing, he put his theory as some group of people migrated from Central Asia to India. And later on, he denied that theory. But in between that era, Britishers accepted this theory. Fewer Indian scholars, surprise, but scholars like Lokmanya Tilak also given support for this theory. Now, the view is that whether this theory is right or Aryans were Indian only, and they spread worldwide at that time. Contradiction is setting out. According to our present knowledge, Aryans were Indians only. Say, evidences are there. First evidence, again, we are going back to Rigved, where the statement, the important statement is there regarding this Aryan. That is, Krunvanto Vishwam Aryam. That means, let us make this universe, Vishwam, not of world. They are talking of universe, Aryam, Nobel. This is the mere translation. They are not saying that we want to spread out Aryans throughout the world. No, they are saying we have to make this universe Nobel. So this is first evidence. Second evidence, go to Buddhist literature. Lord Buddha explained the principles of Buddhism, where he says, four noble truth. Actually, we are translating out in Sanskrit to English as noble truth, but in Sanskrit, they are called as Arya Satya. The question is that why Lord Buddha will speak truth as Arya? Doubt? There is no concept of race. It is the man who is speaking about humanity will not speak about this racial word. That means this word is not racial. This is something different that is called as noble. If you are saying by going through English literature, if you are saying that many years ago, there was a community in world, that community was called as gentleman. So is it right? It was a category of man, that is gentleman. So similar concepts are there about this Aryan invasion. Now, surprised to know that DNA test also we are not matching out. That indicate the Aryan invasion was not there. So many things they are going against this Aryan invasion theory. Something they are giving support. Say for example, whatever the skeletons obtained at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, if Aryans were not have invaded, then there should be similarity between these skeletons observed at Mohenjo-daro and uh, skeletons of present people staying over that area. They are not matching one. That means present people, those who are staying there, they have migrated. Now, this theory, yeah, western part of India was vulnerable to foreign attack. In history course, whatever the written history, we are aware that many outsiders invaded India. They were Greeks, they were Persian, they were Scythian, they were Kushan, that is Yuchi, they were Huns. All these foreign invaders, they were attacked over India time to time. They were settled out there for many years and they dissolved in that community. That is the indication that these people have dissolved there. And obviously, we can't say now the people, those who are at Mohenjo-daro, will have similar structure as of people they are staying today there. Okay, so this is something we are talking. Now, go to geographical data. What the supporters of Aryan invader theory, they say that Aryans invaded from Caucasus mountain. They are called as Caucasian people. Most probably these Aryan people were staying somewhere northern part of Caucasus region. And from that, they migrated along with their cows and all that. They came to India. Just find out region from Caucasus to India. It is hilly region. Then many parts are only deserts. And how entire community migrated throughout these deserts along with their cattle, and how they came to know that after crossing these deserts and these mountain ranges, we will get very good grasslands. It is written that in search of new grasslands, they arrived in India. The question is that where they were staying, that was only grassland, starting from Ukraine to Mongolia. So if at all they wanted to migrate, they should migrate towards eastern side, towards Mongolian side. Why they crossed mountain ranges, deserts, again mountain ranges, and then came to India. And by that time, how they were getting food and water for their huge population, unanswerable. You may argue that how Scythians invaded. There was no reason for, there was a strong reason. They were displaced from their homeland, whereas they were not migrated along with their cows and all that. All right. Whereas here, they migrated along with all the thing. And that is, we are not getting the exact answer that why in search of grassland they migrated. All right. So this is our today's discussion. We are continuing this discussion tomorrow, but we are going little bit faster now. And detailed lecture, obviously, we are putting out in later phase on the same channel. Thanks for observing. Tomorrow's lecture time will be at same 10 o'clock. Thanks. In this fifth session, live session of history lecture. Last lecture, we discussed about Aryan invasion theory. And now we are focusing over the situation of India, particularly around 3000 years ago. So the first important thing here, that though I said that Aryan invasion theory is having challenged, that it is not true thing, or now there is controversy, but still, when we are discussing history, we have to discuss with reference to Aryan invasion theory only. So we are now assuming that Aryans have entered in India. But really the thing is that only Aryans are invader? Answer is no. According to anthropology scene, they say that there were people in India, they were called as Austric people. They entered in India first. We don't know prior to that. But when history begins, we trace out that the first invaders over India or Indian land, at that time India was not present, only land was present. So the first invaders there, they were Austric people. After Austric, when they settled out, another invaders arrived. They say that they arrived from Bolan Pass. I don't know how, but it is mentioned that from Bolan Pass, these invaders arrived in India. They were called as Dravidians. In European language, there is word they are using as druid. most probably that is corrupted according to them as Dravid. So Dravidians entered from Bolan Pass. They settled out in Baluchistan territory, then onwards Indus Valley, and then they spread to the south of India. So like that, there was spread of Dravidian people. Then onwards, the invader arrived. They were Aryans. They came from Khyber Pass. They were nomadic when they arrived in India. But soon they started spreading out in the Indus Valley. They called this region as Sapta Sindhu or Hapta Hindu. So that is the Sapta Sindhu region where Aryans settled first. They fetched war with Dravidians. Dravidians were settled people at that time. They were staying in the houses. They were having huge cities. They were destroyed by Aryans, and then Aryans occupied that area. Dravidians were taken to the other parts of India, particularly whatever present India is there, that, and whatever the today's Pakistan is there, in that territory, Aryans spread out initially. Then onwards, Aryans started spreading out in northern India. What theory says, I am saying. So, according to that, initially Aryans, when they arrived in India, their society was having only three classes. They were considered as Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. Shudra class was not there. But later on, when they entered in other parts of India, that is other than Indus Valley, they allowed the native people to mix with their community. And they were now called as Shudra. Say this something we can relate out how Britishers invaded India. At that time, if you are aware that in initial phases of Britishers invasion, all officers and everybody in their rule, they were Britishers only. Administrative system, only Britishers. Judiciary system, only Britishers. Later on, they spread out their education and then they accepted us. But see, initially, Indian soldier was able to get promotion up till brigadier post only. No further promotion was available for Indian soldier. Same way, our job was just to become clerk, that's all. After 1857 revolt, technically they said that yes, Indian may join civil services, that is empirical civil services. ICS, today we are calling it as IAS. At that time it was called as ICS examination. So they were set out and Indians were allowed. But the criteria was maintained in such that it was very difficult for common Indian person to join these ICS services. Even if you are checking out Ilbert Bill, the Indian judge was given right to get trial of European versus Indian. But then the Britishers opposed and Ilbert Bill was taken back. So like that, many concepts are there. So on basis of that, or if you are able to get early Turki rule over India, particularly after this Kutubuddin Aybak onwards, the rule, at that time, the administrator or whatever the officials, they must be Muslim. Yeah, it's true. But apart from that, that must be Turki Muslim. Indian Muslims, though having tremendous eligibility, were not allowed to be a part of their topmost administrative system. Chahalgami system was there at that time. This Chahalgami system, the 14 nobles, they were there. They were Turki Muslim noble. They were not allowing Indians to be a part. When Alauddin Khilji's uncle, that is Jalaluddin Khilji, accessed the throne, he was having opposed because he was of non-Turki origin. Then they proved that they were of Turki origin. Though now they were called as Afghans. But prior to that, 200 years, they settled out in Afghanistan from Turkestan. And then only they were allowed to rule. So this is the something we are saying racial supremacy or something like that. We are getting evidences in history. On basis of that only, they say that Aryans must have originally three classes. The fourth class was joined in latter phase. That is when they annexed out Gangetic Valley. And that's why racial mixture is observed in that Gangetic Valley to very great extent. Whereas Dravidians were forced to move towards south part of India and they settled out in South India. That is the way they are able to answer why different cultures are developed in India, particularly Aryan culture or North Indian culture and South Indian culture differs to very great extent. Now, anyway, this is something they have given. Now, what was initial structure of this Aryan community? These Aryans were worshipper of natural deities. Indra, Varuna, Maruta, like that. Various natural deities were worshipped by these people. Rigved is not making reference of Lord Ganesha in the first shlok. Instead of that, it is mentioning about Agni, that is the fire deity. And this way we can find out the earlier form of Vedic people were something that was something different. The community was particularly based on entire village was considered as a single community, single family, and distribution of the whatever earnings in that family. So like that initial structure was there. The chief of that village, in Sanskrit it is called as Grama. So the chief of that village was called as Gramini. This way a local setup was developed. These Aryans, when they entered in India, they were particularly nomads. They were having cows. The cattle breeder category was there. Soon they adopted civilized mode and they started developing their own kingdoms. And at that time, they developed public rule. They were particularly dominated by public rule that is called as Janapada. Jana means people. Janapada. So like that, Janapada were set out in northern Indian part. Whereas soon later, some of the Janapada united together, or maybe possible one of the Janapada become mighty and annexed out other Janapada, and it was converted into Mahajanapada, that is great people's republic, that state. So this is something happened, the establishment of Mahajanapada. Like that, some 16 Mahajanapada were present at time of Lord Buddha. It is mentioned in Buddhist literature that at time of Lord Buddha, there were 16 Mahajanapada in India. But the question is that, do you have any name of this Mahajanapada? Answer is yes. But India was vast at that time. Right from Cambodia, Uttarakuru, it was also considered under Mahajanapada. So Cambodia, that is today we can say Bactria, Balkh or Balik, that is towards northwest part of Gandhar. That means towards northwest part of northwest Pakistan. That is the part Takshashila and Pushkalavati or Purushpur, Pushpapur, that means today's Peshawar. To the north of that, the territory was there that is called as Cambodia. Then Peshawar, that is Gandhar. Then onwards, Kuru. Then that is called as Shurasena. Like that, various Mahajanapada, Matsya, Bhadra, Madra, these are names, where a powerful kingdom was there in India at that time. The Mahajanapada evolved, that was Magadh. It is in present-day Bihar and surrounding territory. A strong Mahajanapada was developed. Now, Western approach is always materialistic. What exactly I want to tell? That why Magadh emerged out as great Mahajanapada? They say materialistic thing. Say, for example, in Indus Valley civilization, we are not getting evidences of use of iron or steel. We got use of copper, we got use of bronze, we got use of gold and all these things, but iron evidences were not found. Even they say that in Indus Valley civilization, we got bones of animals used, cattle and everything, but we are not getting any bone of horse. Till 4,000 years ago, Amri is the place, that is today's Baluchistan of Pakistan, where we got evidences of domestication of horses. But Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, they were not having any evidences of use of horse. So they say that use of horse was controversy at that time, where we were aware of horse or not. Then another thing, steel or iron. Let me clarify what happened exactly. When we extract iron, if it is pure iron, it is called as iron. But little bit carbon is present in that iron, then we call it as steel. Pure iron is called as soft iron. It is of no practical use. But when we are adding out little bit carbon, it becomes steel, and then it possesses the property of hardness and all these things. And therefore, usually we called it as steel. But iron is also not wrong, because the amount of carbon in steel is very, very less. That is 0.2% onwards carbon is used in alloy. Let us start again. Why I am pointing out this all? Because Magadh Empire was having Chota Nagpur Plateau, where iron mines were found out. The meaning of that, Magadh were now having a new ore, that is iron. Say, if you compare the weapon made up of bronze and a weapon made up of steel, then steel weapon is more strong, having more strength than bronze weapon. And therefore, they say that the weapon developed, and therefore Magadh was able to establish dominancy over other Mahajanapada. Say, for example, there was a Mahajanapada, Kosala. Magadh tried to annex it, but they were not able to get that. Ultimately, they managed to form matrimonial alliances with Kosala, because the news was that only single princess was there for that Kosal emperor, and by forming matrimonial alliances, they annexed out Kosala. Now, Avanti, that means present-day Madhya Pradesh area, their capital was Ujjain. Avanti was fighting out with Magadh for longer time, but Magadh managed to conquer that also. Shakya kingdom was there. Shakya kingdom means present-day Nepal, the birthplace or say capital of Lord Buddha's father, that is Kapilavastu. So from that they were ruling out, they were called as Shakya kingdom. That was also having threat from Magadh. And like that, Magadh empire was expanding out. Various dynasties ruled over Magadh. We are now focusing on the dynasty, as we discussed in earlier lecture, how to trace back Indian history. And for that purpose, we discussed that we have to go to birth of Lord Buddha, because his birth here is mentioned. And it was mentioned in Buddhist literature that at time of Lord Buddha, king or emperor Ajatashatru was ruling over Magadha. And then he killed his father, named as Bimbisara. Don't get confused with another king in history named as Bindusara. Only little bit spelling difference is there. So Bimbisara was Haryanka dynasty ruler, the known ruler in the Magadh kingdom, the first known ruler in the Magadh kingdom. Now, actually Magadh kingdom, we are getting evidences in Mahabharata also. I'm giving evidence because when we observe NCRT books, they are giving references of Mahabharata also. And therefore, I'm giving that reference. If you are aware, Jarasangha is name of king. He was from Magadh, as mentioned in Mahabharata. Jarasandha was mighty king of Magadh. So in Mahabharata also, Magadh proved its mightiness. How mighty that Jarasangha was. Jarasangha attacked over Mathura. Say, Magadh is in Bihar. Mathura is in western part of UP. When we travel from Mumbai to Delhi, we are having a railway station as Mathura. And after Mathura, the main railway station is Delhi. So it is very close, in vicinity of Delhi, not exactly, but very close to Delhi. So from Bihar to Delhi, almost, he traveled. He attacked over Mathura and he defeated Lord Sri Krishna. If you are aware that from battlefield, Lord Sri Krishna left out, and it is said that Jarasangha was having enmity with Lord Sri Krishna, and therefore Sri Krishna decided to left that battlefield. That's why Sri Krishna is also called as Ranchhod Das. one of the name of Sri Krishna. And then Jarasandha returned back. Whereas Lord Sri Krishna came to Maharashtra, then went to Goa. There is mountain, it is mentioned in epic as Gomantaka Parvat, where Jarasandha attacked again. And then Sri Krishna set fire to that forest, and then Jarasandha's army was defeated. Then Lord Sri Krishna decided to settle over a Dwarka that is present day in Gujarat. If you check out the Gulf of Gulf of Kutch, on the south side of mouth of Gulf of Kutch, there is Dwarka. So Lord Sri Krishna now decided to set at Dwarka. This is the power of Jarasandha. Jarasandha was defeated only by Karna in the battle, whereas after that, Bhim, one of the great Pandav, killed him in the battle. Dvandva Yuddha. So like that, wrestling like something, so he was killed. But Magadh Empire was having this existence in Mahabharata. Now we are switching over to again Magadh Empire, Yanka Dynasty. So the known king is Bimbisar. He was killed by starvation by his own son Ajatashatru. After Haryanka, another dynasty set over that is called as Shishu Naga Dynasty. The general rebelled against the emperor and taken an entire power in hand that is called as Shishu Naga Dynasty. After a few years, history repeated and a dynasty set over Magadh that is called as Nanda Dynasty. Now I am having doubt that whether that name is Nanda or Ananda, the name of King Mahapadmananda. So that ending with Ananda. But if you search out that almost that kings were having ending name as Nanda, so this is called as Nanda Dynasty. Just for a fun, you can go to Europe, find out at time of First World War, what was the reason of that initial reason of that First World War? That emperor of Austria went to Bosnia. What was name of that Austrian prince? He was named as Archduke Ferdinand. Now write down Ferdinand and find out last four letter of that word. You will find NAND. So should I call that as also Nanda Dynasty? But anyway, this is called as Nanda Dynasty. Now, they shifted capital of Magadh Empire from Rajagraha to a newly constructed capital that is called as Pataliputra. So in the history, we are getting now capital of Magadh as Pataliputra. Now this way, Magadh Empire was set out. At time of Dhanananda, the last ruler of Nanda dynasty, at time of Dhanananda, it is said that Magadh Empire was extended from river Bias in the west to eastern side, all Gangetic Valley. This is the vast empire of Magadh. Now, the process of building up empire was going on, as well as disintegration of empire was going on. In western parts of India, means today's Pakistan, the empire or that Mahajanapada was not persisted. They disintegrated into smaller kingdoms. This was a threat for India. The reason is that whenever we are in divided form, invader can take advantage of us. Let us go to invader first. So that is Persia at that time, where a dynasty was ruling that is called as Hakamani dynasty. Greeks were not able to pronounce the word Hakamani. They pronounce as Achaemenid. And that's why this dynasty is called as Achaemenid dynasty in English. But the actual name of that dynasty is Hakamani. Hakamani is not name of person. It is the meaning. Just you are aware now, Sanskrit to Prakrit. So it's corrupted as Ha. Now make Ha as Sa. You will find Sakhamani. And that is the real meaning of their dynasty's name. That is friend of mind. They were tolerant to all religions. They established their empire first in Iran, present day, that means Persia, and then onwards they started spreading out westward. They annexed out present-day Iraq, then Syria, like that nation of Mesopotamia, the region of Mesopotamia. Same way, they entered in India through river Indus. Keep in mind, they didn't invade from Khyber Pass. They entered from mouth of river Indus. Their navy entered in India and they conquered Indus Valley part. Whereas, what is that conquered means exactly? They established their supremacy over kings in India. Now, Indian king was now called as Kshatrap, or in corrupted English, Satrap. In English, they are called as Satrap, Satrapids, or Kshatrap in Persian language. Most probably, Sanskrit word should be Kshetrapal, the owner of certain territory. That is Kshetra. Kshetra means you are aware the area. Pal, the one who take cares. So that the Kshetrapal may be corrupted in Persian as Kshatrap. So they appointed them as Kshatrap, whereas emperor was Persian empire. The name of Persian empire emperors were Cyrus, Darius, Xerxes. Like that names are given obviously in Persian literature. So we have to check whether that names are true or not, or maybe possible sounding something like that. As we discussed, the name may be Dhairyesh, Suryesh, may be possible, corrupted as Cyrus, Darius, or like Parsi people are calling him as Daryush. Now, if you are checking out this Cyrus name, try to recollect, this is Persian emperor. And now find out the names of nuclear reactor in India, particularly at BRC. In Mumbai, there is area that is called as BRC, where 4 reactors are there. If you are finding out name of these reactor, they are Apsara, Purnima, Zharlina, and Cyrus. So from where this Cyrus word is there, the name of Persian emperor. And now you'll find the father of nuclear program in India, named Homi Jahangir Bhabha, a Zoroastrian person. Maybe possible some connectivity is there. I don't know the connectivity of giving name to Indian reactor as Cyrus, but the Cyrus the Great was really a great emperor. His empire was set out, that Hakamani empire was set out from Indus Valley in India to Egypt, and they annexed out Anatolia region. Anatolia means Turkey, today's Turkey, Turkestan or Turkey. And from that, they entered in Constantinople and nearby areas of Macedonia. They were attacking constantly. So truly speaking, their empire was in Asia, in little bit parts of Europe, and in Africa. So intercontinental empire was set out by Persian people. Their capital was Persepolis. Again, this is Greek name, but the Persepolis was considered as world's best city at that time, where Persian dynasty, that Hakamani dynasty, was important thing, that they were tolerant to all religions. They were not destroying the cultures of the existing people. They were allowing them to rule by their own king. Only they were collecting out tribute. That is the important thing. But truly speaking, very nice empire was set out. But towards European people, they were not that tolerant. They were making constant war with Greeks. And that's why Greek epics are always filled with the story of fight with Persian empire. Surprised to know that when they annexed out Indus Valley part, as a Kshatrap or king's duty is there to fulfill the demand of emperor. Emperor demanded soldiers, and soldiers from India were given to Persian emperor. And then these Indian soldiers were involved in war on Greece at that time, according to one reference. I got this reference, so I'm telling here. So it is not Greeks invaded India first. It is Indians who reached to Greece first, but not by their own will, by the will of Achaemenid emperor. And that's why, on behalf of Achaemenid emperor, Indians reached to Greece at that time. Now, the question is that this big empire was there. They have influenced Indians. Answer is yes, to great extent, obviously. The thing is that the script that is called as Kharoshtri script was introduced under influence of Persian people. Their rule was there in India, but not to that extent. Kings were free to do their, what we can say, internal freedom was there. Like that things. Even it is said, according to one source, that Indian king Puru was was Zoroastrian person. I don't have evidence of this all. Now let us go to Persian Empire. Persians were having in constant war with Greece. Greece now at that time was newly developing nation. Around 2,800 years ago, Greeks emerged out as empire, new culture, whereas they were having chain of philosophers. Say, in order to develop nation, only army is not required. Apart from army, thinkers, philosophers, all these people, they were required. The name of person, that is Socrates, a great thinker in Greeks. Always keep in mind that whatever I am telling, that is with reference to Greeks. So he was a great thinker in Greece. Then onwards, another philosopher that is named as Plato. Plato says that everything what you are going to do, that is zero. That was something new ideology developed by Plato. Plato was disciple of Socrates. Now, the Greeks were developing out, but the problem of Greece was that Greece was divided into smaller kingdom. They were called as small city-states. Smyrna, Sparta, Athens, all these city-states were there. To the north of this Greece island, why I'm saying island? Because the land is not continuous one. Sea is penetrating inside, most probably during Ice Age. Lot of erosion work must have carried out over there, and that's why sea is penetrating inside the part. But according to this concept, the smaller states were there, and north of Greece was connected directly on mainland of Europe, where they were people, they were called as Macedonian people. In Arabic language, this area is called as Makedonia, whereas in English, that is called as Macedonia. That was also part of Greece. Today also, these people are not considering themselves as Greece. But actually, with our knowledge, it was part of Greece at that time. But they were having own identity as Macedonian. And then today also in map of Europe, you will find the name, a nation named as Macedonia, which is just to the north of Greece. Anyway, so the Macedonian king, Philippus, he decided that we had to unite. Again and again, Persians are attacking over their territories, and how to overcome this Persian attack. And for that purpose, he decided that unification of all these Greek states should be there. And for that purpose, he carried out war with all these Greek states. Every Greek state was having its own identity. For example, Sparta was considered as very good warriors are there from Sparta. Actually, according to Greek ideology, Greece is world's best region to live. Say, this is everybody may say. Now, I am from Mumbai. If you are asking the best place to live in world, my answer will be obviously Mumbai. If somebody is from Delhi, that person will say, yes, Delhi is the best place to live. So the person, those who are staying in whatever that area, we have affinity with that area. And we are considering that our matching area will not find anywhere. According to Greek literature, whatever I am telling that is in the history that is given, they say that yes, the climatic condition in Greece, that is Mediterranean climate, which is considered as soft climate. You'll find very good temperature that is not going far below freezing as well as not too hot. That is the characteristic. Mountain ranges, yeah, they are there. Rainfall, very good rainfall. but not as heavy as in Mumbai. In a single day, 930 mm straightway. So that is the very high rainfall, but it is not there in Greece. Forest, yeah, but maximum trees are fruit bearing trees. So they were having very good food. They were having very good, what we can say, fruits to eat. Stone, yeah, marble was there. Then forest was there, hill was there, sea was there, and therefore they were developing out. It is said that the person who is staying in Greece, that is getting all the natural nourishment, and that's why they were healthy, they were mightier, and all that is mentioned that I am telling. Now, what happened exactly? Philippus annexed out these all states, and they formed United Greece. Prior to that, Greece was attacked constantly, either by this Persian empire or from Ukraine side. At that time, it was nomadic land. They were called as uh, Scythian people, or simply called as barbarians. So they were attacking and they were sacking out Greece. So because of this formation of Greek empire, they become now strong. Now scenario is reverse. As we explained that foreign invaders were attacking over Greece, but now when unification of Greece was there, scenario differs, and they started attacking over other parts. Say for example, there was death of Philippus. People, particularly today's historians, they are in having doubt. One group says that yes, it was accidental death, but according to another group, it was particularly planned assassination. And because of that planned assassination, Alexander, the son of Philippus, was having throne in hand. He was there in power. Philippus given him best education at his time. For his training and education, he was sent to world's one of the great philosopher named as Aristotle. Aristotle was disciple of Plato. You're aware now, Socrates, Plato, and now Aristotle. Aristotle decided to convert this king into world-class emperor. How? We are going to discuss in tomorrow's lecture. So be present at tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Thanks for observing. In this live session, as we have discussed in previous lecture, that is day before yesterday, because supposed to be yesterday, supposed to be there should be a lecture, but due to some personal problem, I was not able to conduct. And today also we started a bit late. And today's lecture will be a very short lecture, hardly of 15 minute to 20 minute. Our lecture will be there of today. In that previous lecture, we continued that Alexander the Great accessed the throne by, say, assassination or whatever the thing of his father, but he got the throne. And then we discussed that he was sent to world's one of the great philosopher as a guru, that is called as Aristotle. In Persian language, he is called as Aristu, whereas in Greek language, his name is Aristotle. Aristotle trained Alexander in the way, keep in mind, this training is really important for us, because whenever we are discussing the further part of history, you'll find the similar training that was given and that was implemented also. Say, the main part of this training, that is, world is divided into two parts. One that is called as nomadic world, and other one that is civilized world, like Greek people. The Greeks were highly civilized people, and other part of world is nomadic. What was the role of Alexander? Alexander should conquer that world. What was that nomadic world? And then convert them like Greek. So teach them Greek language, teach them Greek culture, everything, and convert them to Greek-like civilized people. See the important, not only civilized, it must be Greek-like civilized people. You're getting the point? So this ideology is accepted by various other people in latter phase also, inclusive, we can say, Britishers. That's why I'm able to communicate with you in English. I'm wearing out shirt and pant and all these things we are discussing. That is because of the ideology that we have to convert them like us. So this is the most important thing here that was given to Alexander the Great. Now, with this training, Alexander was having success. Answer is yes. That's why for many years, after Alexander, for many years, at that time, what was that Hellenic world? Then other parts of adjoining Hellenic world, they were using Greek ideology. If you find out the coins minted in India, they are also having Greek letters. Even after that, we are aware that Kushans were there. They were also ruled. The Kushan kings were also minting out their coin to the one side in Greek language. Ashoka Pillar. You are aware the great Emperor Ashoka established the pillars all over India. Out of that, whatever the pillars we observed in Northwest Frontier region, that is Gandhar, they were having Greek inscription. So you are getting that what ideology was given to Alexander was completely followed by him. And now he first attacked over Scythia. That is, now there should be a map in front of you or in front of your eyes. Then it is very clear that to the north of Greece, whatever the territory was there, or to the north of Macedonia, today's Macedonia, to north of that, the territory was there that is of nomadic world. That is called as Scythian people at that time. It was grassland, hilly region, and all that. Alexander invaded that region. By that time, it was very clear that Scythians were invading out Greece. They were sacking out parts of Greece and running back to their territory because Greeks were civilized people, whereas these people were warriors. They were attacking, they were sacking out and went going back to their own part. But this time, Greeks attacked them. They were not aware of this. And all of a sudden, the attack was there. And Alexander got initial success. Nearly 40,000 Scythians were arrested. The warriors, they were arrested. Now, it was very simple thing. According to that tradition was going on at that time. According to that, either these 40,000 warriors should be taken to Greece as prisoner and ask them to work for Greece as a slave. So it was possible. Another thing, execute them. But none of the option was selected by Alexander. Instead of that, he simply brutally cut out ears and nose of these 40,000 soldiers. That is for the reason that is a perpetual reminder for other people that if you are attacking over Greece, we will make you like this only. And then Alexander returned back from Scythia. Now, surprisingly, by that time, the Greek states rebelled against him. And they declared their independence. Alexander reconquered all these Greek states. That means the father's work was repeated by Alexander. And then onwards, the thing was there that Alexander attacked on Persian Empire. They gathered and they decided that, okay, let us not fight with each other. We have to attack over Persia. And then they attacked over Persia. They crossed out Strait of, or that is called as Sea of Marmara, and they attacked. Now, when they crossed Sea of Marmara, they entered in Anatolia region, or that is called as Asia Minor, today's Turkey. Initially, they got success against Persian Empire. But then onwards, Persian Emperor, named as Darius III, challenged him and then asked him to return back to its original state because the name of dynasty was Hakamani dynasty. So he said that, all right, you are young, enthusiastic, you carried out adventure, all right, go back. But Alexander replied, no. And then the thing is that Alexander waged war against Darius III. In three consecutive battles, Darius III was defeated. He was assassinated in his own capital, and ultimately Alexander conquered this vast Persian empire. Then he attacked over Egypt also. He conquered Egypt. And then, after the conquer of Egypt, he returned back to Central Asia. He conquered parts of Central Asia. Now, this time, Scythians were imprisoned once again. And then they were taken to Greece. And then, after they returned back to Greece, they were trained to, we can say that training was given as a Greek invaders, Greek warriors. And then Alexander challenged India. He was now on the horizon of India, where in Indian side, there is a kingdom that is called as Gandhara kingdom. On this Gandhar kingdom, he was challenged, whereas the king of Gandhar was named as Ambhi. In Greek history, he is called as Ambis. So Ambhi Ambhi welcomed Alexander. He surprisingly surrendered in front of Alexander, and Alexander was having easy entrance in India. But prior to that, what that hilly region, that is today's Hindu Kush mountain, at that time it was called as Caucasus Indicus or Indicus Caucasus by Greeks, where he opposed strong resistance by tribesmen. And Alexander faced various war against them, and ultimately he returned. He was able to enter till Gandhar. After returning, after entering to Gandhar, he was now having next kingdom, that is Porus kingdom at that time. I am keeping Alexander there. And then after this entry of Alexander, we are switching over to India and whatever the Indian situation. So in today's lecture, we just discussed that Alexander how carried out his emperorship and entered on Indian horizon. Whereas what was the situation in in India at that time? As we discussed, the Magadh Empire was prominent in India. Magadh Empire was very mighty. The dynasty ruling over Magadh Empire, that was named as Nanda Dynasty. Now, the ruler of Nanda Dynasty ruling over this Magadh Empire, his name was Dhananand. Actually, his name was not Dhananand, but people started calling him as Dhananand. He was imposing out various taxes over the people. Even after death, for funeral, whatever the wood was required, that was also taxed heavily by Dhananand. He was imposing variety of taxes, and he was ruling with injustice. Now you are aware that emperor is somewhat we are calling king of king. Under him, various kings are there. They are also paying tribute to emperor. So like that king of king, they were there. Kings were there. They were also charged heavily by Dhanananda. Now, his rule was not that good. That means the administrative system was good, but he was not ruling with justice. Out of that, another important thing was there in India at that time. That was the Takshashila University, which is situated in Gandhar province. As we discussed, the king of Gandhar was Ambhi. So Takshashila University was in his province. It was considered as world's best university at that time. Today also, keep in mind, the world's ancient-most university and longest-lived university is Takshashila University. One of the teacher, so he was not the chancellor or something like that, only he was a teacher in that Takshashila University. His name was Vishnu Gupta. He's commonly called as Chanakya or Kautilya. So he was there. He was observing the worldwide situation. And he was aware that northwestern part of India is divided into smaller kingdoms. A nominal suzerainty of Persian Empire was there, but otherwise they were fragmented out. Alexander was trying to conquer the world. He was wandering in Persia, he was wandering in Israel, then Egypt. Now, on one fine day, that person may arrived in India. And for that purpose, we had to unite. We had to produce, that is the concept according to him, that is Akhanda Bharat, undivided India. And for that purpose, he decided to go to Magadh Emperor to make him aware that let us make union in India and let us fight togetherly with this Alexander's wish of injustice. But Dhanananda was not ready to accept it. Actually, Chanakya was not going in straight way. That story is something different. But simple, we can consider he was insulted by Dhanananda and thrown out of his empire. And then Chanakya planned out once again that we have to defeat entire Nanda empire. We have to dethrone Dhanananda and we have to make a responsible emperor over there. And for that purpose, he selected a boy named as Chandragupta. Various stories are there. I'm not going into that stories. But the thing is that Chandragupta was the ablest person at that time, according to Chanakya. And then he was trained properly at Takshashila University. And now he was great warrior, great thinker. Whatever the training was there, that was very nice training was given to Chandragupta. And now at time of arrival of Alexander, Chandragupta was young. This is the story. Now you are aware. Now Chandragupta was there in the Gandhar state and Alexander attacked over northwest frontier. But first he was sending a simple letter. Accept our suzerainty, accept us as emperor, pay us tribute, we will protect you and you will be part of our empire. Otherwise, be wise. That is the thing. And then Alexander sent this type of letter, whereas Ambi accepted this and he welcomed Alexander. Today, I am ending out our session at this point only. Now, Alexander was exactly here. Now, what we end out today's session, that Alexander was on horizon of India. Tomorrow, we are meeting here at 10 o'clock. And tomorrow, we will continue this entire Alexander session. So, maybe possible tomorrow's session will extend out also, more than half an hour also we can extend out. We are discussing in very brief manner. Keep in mind, we are not going into depth. So, just brief, we are explaining. Thanks for observing this video. Let us hope that we are meeting tomorrow.